things they just looked in the 70s. They just did. When I was growing up, all cops, that I would see, all the Boston cops were heavy guys that just didn't look happy or look good. And now I walk around, policemen for the most part are in very good shape. Something
they probably
changed.
all have, they have Instagram pages.
Yeah.
And when they're not wearing the uniform, it's like, what's up with those man tits, you fat? So now everybody's getting shamed on, dude, I'm wearing a hoodie right now because even just the weight I am right now, because we had 3 birthdays in my family this month. So I've been eating cake like almost every single night, which has been great. But, at my age, it's just over. So I put on like 10 pounds or something. So now I'm shaming myself wearing the hoodie until I get into T-shirt shape.
Here's the thing that happens to me. I see it because, during this process of like wrapping up the nightly show after all these years, I'm just constantly exposed to videotape of me over the years. And I can see, oh yeah, in COVID, I gained some weight. And what happens to me, and it's an Irish curse, is your face gets rounder and my cheekbones disappear. And I look at my face and I have such self-hatred, and I'll see it and I'll go, you fat fuck.
I do it all the time.
Did you like that? Did you enjoy that food during COVID, you fat fuck? And I'm talking about myself. Yeah. Hey, you fat-faced fuck. You look like Daniel Patrick
Can't go
Moynihan.
for a walk, princess?
Yeah.
What it is, what's funny? Is we grew up in such a bullying time.
Yes.
That their voices, they've left us decades ago, but their voice is on a loop.
Right.
Your parents, the jerk on your paper route, the bullies, all of that is like on a loop. So I'm interested to see where this new way of doing things is going to go.
What do you mean the new way?
Well, having fat people on billboards and being called heroes and stuff, they're just going the complete other direction. Like where that leads.
People calling them heroes?
Yeah.
I think people are not shaming them, but who's saying you took that burger so I could live? Who's acting like they're heroes?
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know how bad.
You know me.
You know how we got it. How bad we got it, and we were in shape. And because we were orange people, what happened to us? Like everybody got it back in the day, and now, like, not only are you can't give anybody any shit. I mean, you're basically preventing them from getting, early onset diabetes with the fat shaming. You really are.
That's what you're doing. You're
It's not your motivation. It's just because you don't like your parents or something, so you attack the fat kid. But in a way, you're helping them out. And I don't think putting them up on the billboard, cheering them on to continue eating these Hostess cupcakes is the way to go.
First of all,
I'm fucking around.
You're fucking around. Okay. But you know what? It was a different time. You were just talking right now about it was the 70s and I was in a summer camp and I really was unhappy and the counselors weren't nice. It was this camp up in Maine. I'm not going to name it.
No one was nice.
No one was nice in the 70s. And what happened was I remembered the sunblock had just come out. And literally in the previous summers when I went to camp, I got so badly burned because I'm a red-haired guy in the sun because I had no...
Dude, he looks like a lobster.
You look like a lobster. And I remembered, we're going out on the water. We're going to get in these aluminum canoes. I'm going to cook. So I ran up to my cabin and I quickly put on some sun protection on my legs. And I went down and the guy who ran the boating expedition, the counselor, who must have been about 20 years old, was like, well, look who's late. Why were you late? And I said, well, I had to put on my sun. Oh, he had to put on his sun. And he got all the kids to laugh at me. And I'm like, no, it's so, the sun. Oh, the sun hurt. And I thought today that's a lawsuit. But back then that was just
will you do us the honor and come aboard, Mary? Yeah, no, it was just
Oh, you think you're ready now to get on the boat? Oh, would you like a parasol?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, how's Precious doing? Do we need to go ashore? Yeah, it all was that. So
but it was. I mean, I have a hard time describing that to.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
now I'm finding though it's just becoming like this overcorrection where there was some scandal recently, and one of the people was a gatekeeper. It's all the same story. These are all the you're a gatekeeper. It's just like no, it's just like my fucking job to watch people. And if I feel it's like what my boss, who I work for, they're acting like they're up there like, I'm not going to make your dream come true. They were just saying like, dude, I showed up and they were like, we already have enough freckled faced jerk offs, and it's just like, dude, that's a bad example. But like that's how casting directors talk.
Right.
Like when you walk up, if you look like a plumber, like that's all they're thinking. They're just going plumber, plumber, plumber until you start talking and they get to know you. It's your job to get yourself out of there. That's like, my whole fucking acting career.
I know.
Your acting career, the second I showed up, they're like, oh, doesn't get the girl. Doesn't know how to fight. Fireman, cop.
You know what I love?
Until I lost my hair and then the UFC came along. So everybody, like, you shave your head, people, it's all in the ears. If you don't have the cauliflower ears, they know you can't fight your way out of a wet paper bag.
But wasn't it like Vince Gilligan?
I have podcaster ears.
You must be a podcaster. Your ears are pristine. Vince
Gilligan.
Vince Gilligan saw you and knew, like, for Breaking Bad, he saw that he didn't put you in like a narrow slot. He didn't put.
He didn't. He gave me the role that I always wanted to do. And what was great about it is I worked with Lavelle Crawford, and he was such a physical presence. The fun working with him was I didn't have to be tough then because I was just brokering. Like, listen, you don't want to deal with this guy. Let's that Beneke scene. That's all that was. Like, this is what's going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. And we're going to keep this guy happy. So then I didn't have to do all of that stuff, but I still got to be this sort of guy that goes around, dirtbag, like threatening people. And it was so much fun.
So it was your dream to be a dirtbag, threatening people?
Well, yeah, just being the guy that does everything right. I mean, you're going to end up driving like an ice cream truck in a movie. Who wants to do I mean, I want to be driving the Starsky and Hutch car, or at least be the guy. Like one of my dreams acting gig is I always wanted to be the perp getting chased down an alley that throws the trash can down, and then right when you get to the chain link fence, they grab you and you're like, nah. They call you off. Then they interrogate you.
You get halfway up the chain link fence, but they grab you by your waist and they drag you down and you're like, no!
Yeah, then I got to become the dirtbag informant, and they start pulling me out in daylight because I'm not giving them all they want. Like, come on, man, you can't be coming up to me out here, man. Maybe I'm using, like, who didn't, like, I love that character. I always wanted to, what's great about those.
I love it that's what, I love you at 8, 9, 10 years old, paper route, looking up at the screen and saying, that's me. I'm the guy that they're dragging into daylight so that everyone else will know I'm a snitch and I'll get the shit kicked out of me. That's what I want to be.
Yeah, I don't see any fun in playing the cool guy ever.
Right.
It's just like, and I also don't think like, what it really is it's how I look. So what I've learned, the key to acting is like, if you don't look like these beautiful people, is you just steer into, your shortcomings, you just steer into them.
Right.
So I sort of like, with some of the acting gigs I got lately, like when I come into hair and makeup, I just go, okay, my head's a blank slate. Like how dumb can we, I did something, for this kid, Tyler Falbo. We did this thing that we sold on Quibi, and then they went under, and we're going to see where it's going to land. But it was this guy who was basically stuck in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So I had those really bad 90s hair plugs. You remember those antlet things? So they gave me, remember the guys would just get like a line of them, and then they'd run out of money and then try to grow them back. So it was like, I had those with like, the stuff on the side, and then sort of like a mullet and a bad tribal tattoo peeking out. And it's just like, I find, I don't know. Those are the guys I kind of like watching. Another thing great about watching 70s movies is like the character actors and what they added to scenes and stuff while the movie star was in there. I watched some Clint stuff, so a lot of like Jeffrey Lewis in there and Harry Dean Stanton and just guys like that. And then I think coming out of all of that would be Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like he has a movie, I can't even get through it. His character is so excruciating. I had to watch it in 10-minute clips. I forget it. He was a banker with a gambling problem. And he starts taking money out of the bank gambling. Right. And it's just every time you just like, you start getting caught up in his gambling, like you're rooting for him to win, and of course he starts winning, and you're like, cash out, go back to the fucking room, and he wouldn't. I got about 50 minutes into it, and I never finished it. And
it's like Sandler in Uncut Gems. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good, but you're rooting for him to go further into his addiction and then get out just in time.
Oh, the last bet that he has, last bet that he had. I mean, I was watching the game with him.
But it's funny. There's stuff too. Nick Kroll came on my show once early on, and he did a bit where he imitated a guy in a 70s movie eating, and he was like a dirtbag detective. But in the 70s, things weren't as cleaned up as they are now in movies. Now we depict wealth a lot. We depict people being beautiful and Nick Kroll does this great impression of a guy, and he's just talking, and he's in a shitty diner somewhere. He's in Boston or he's in New York, and he's talking, and maybe he's a cop, and he's talking, and he's just jamming fries. And so he brought fries out, and he was just jamming them. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
He was jamming them into his mouth
really
and talking at the same time. And I thought, you're right. That is every movie in the 70s is someone pushing greasy, unhealthy food into their mouth while they're telling you about the deal, what's going to happen with the deal, and
it's actually a pet peeve of mine is actors eating in scenes.
Yes,
because
they don't eat.
But if they do eat, they overact eating.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, can you close your fucking mouth? I don't need to listen to you smacking that whatever the fuck it is you're eating in Dolby surround sound. Well, which, by the way, scares the shit out of kids. I took my daughter, she's 4 years old, to go see one of those Snoopy movies, some rated G thing. And first of all, you get in there, it's pitch black. And then because they know the parents are there, they're trying to get you to see the PG. They show PG trailers, but there's people dying. And there's bad people, and that it just
it's scary.
I had to pull her out.
Oh no!
But we got a Toy Story it was, and then she'd actually seen it at home, but because we were in the dark and it was so loud that by the time Sid came along, she's like, "Dad, I don't want to see Sid." I go, "You don't want to see Sid?" She goes, "No, Sid's a bad guy."
Yeah,
and it's so loud that it's overpowering.
I was like, "All right, let's get out of here."